we haven't met before, I'm Sarah, an end-of-life planning advocate, normalizing conversations about end-of-life and estate planning before those conversations are necessary. Lawyers are a different breed. We like our big words in our jargon. Great attorneys are so familiar with the complex systems involved in the law that they can sometimes forget that not everyone is as familiar with them. But then, of course, there are also just some really bad attorneys out there who aren't very good at the law or communicating with their clients. How is an ordinary person supposed to know the difference? Preparing to meet with an estate attorney for the first time can be scary and intimidating. What should you expect? What might the process look like? What questions should you ask? I can't help you with all of those questions, but I can help you with some of them. Both during your initial meeting and throughout the process, you should feel free to ask questions of your attorney. Good attorneys will be open to questions and you asking about their competency or their experience. Be wary of an attorney who is curt with your inquiries or attempts to understand even the very basic information about them, their experience, or their process. You will be talking with this person about intensely personal things, and the estate planning process can be complex, both emotionally and legally. You need to be comfortable with your attorney, and you have to believe that they have your best interests at heart and that they're able to do the job. If you aren't comfortable with your attorney, or you don't like their answers, or if you aren't even comfortable asking them questions, talk with another attorney until you find one that you are comfortable with. There are a lot of questions here, so I've listed them in a PDF. A link to that document can be found in the description. Questions about their experience and education. Is your primary focus estate planning? Many attorneys only practice estate law. Others do a little bit of everything. Estate law specialists are more likely to be current with all of the changes to the law and best practices. What is your experience in estate planning? Knowing estate law is only part of being an estate attorney. Depending on your situation, your attorney also might have to know about taxes or business law. After a client dies, estate documents take effect, and those documents have to go through the court system and have potentially been challenged by family or creditors or the IRS. Experienced attorneys have faced those challenges and learned from them so that they can better help their clients. Do you have experience with my particular situation, and can you give me references? Consider the things about your life that you are concerned about when it comes to estate planning. For example, special needs kids, a family business, or a small internet business, or houses in multiple states. Has your attorney dealt with clients in situations similar to yours? What special training do they have in the area that you are most concerned about? Are they willing to give you references of clients so that you can talk to those clients about their experience? This might not be possible due to privacy laws and concerns, but it's worth asking about. How do you stay current with changes in the law? Estate laws and related tax laws are always changing. How do they stay on top of the relevant legal updates? Questions about the services they offer. What types of estate planning services do you offer? Most estate planning attorneys will be able to help you with wills, living trusts, and living wills. Depending on your circumstances, you might want a plan that considers other issues like life insurance or tax planning vehicles. Does your attorney handle all of the services that you are interested in considering? How will you include my digital and online life in my estate plan? Our lives today are largely digital, but not all estate plans and not all estate planning attorneys have caught up. Your digital life will need to be considered and wrapped up after you die, and it should be considered and be part of your estate plan. Find out if or how your attorney will consider, document, and plan for your digital afterlife. And how do they stay on top of changes to technology and the related legal guidance and best practices for managing digital estates? Do you consider the intangible aspects of my life and my legacy, or do you only focus on financial assets? You are more than the stuff you own. Does your attorney have a process in place to capture who you are as a person and the legacy you want to leave behind? This can be done with items such as ethical wills or life remembrances. While an attorney isn't necessary for those types of items, some attorneys will provide guidance on those items to ensure they are included in a well-rounded estate plan. Questions about their setup process. Can you explain the estate planning process and what your role in each step will be? There are many elements to estate planning. It can be overwhelming to someone without any legal knowledge or experience. A good estate planning attorney will be willing to provide an overview of the process and what their role within each step will be. How do you charge? Many estate planning attorneys charge flat fees. Others bill by the hour. Some do both depending on the circumstances. If they charge a flat fee, what's included in the flat fee and what is not included in the flat fee? Some attorneys say they use flat fees, but then nickel and dime additional charges for things like phone calls, copies, couriers, postage, recording fees, and other expenses. Some of these fees are reasonable, and some of them maybe aren't, but in either case, it's good to know up front so that you'll know what to expect. Does the fee include a regular review of my legal documents? How will future updates or changes be billed? After it's created, your plan will need to be occasionally reviewed and maybe revised to ensure it stays in line with what you have, where you are in life, your goals, and to address any changes to the law that might have occurred. When such reviews and updates are completed, how will those services be charged for? How long will it take for you to complete my estate plan? While you want your estate plan to be completed as soon as possible, it also isn't something you should unduly rush to complete. It's rarely something that can be completed in a single sitting. You may wish to discuss aspects of your estate plan with other professionals, such as accountants, retirement planners, money managers, or advisors like family or spiritual advisors. Your attorney may need to consult with other professionals or research particular aspects of your situation. Considering these potential consultations and the time involved in creating your plan and its documents, try to get a general understanding of the time frames that you can expect. Will you send my estate documents to me for review? Even if you're working with an experienced estate attorney, you should still review all documents and forms to ensure they've understood and documented your situation correctly. Make sure your attorney is willing to answer any questions you have about what they included in your documents, what it means, or why they did something the way they did it. These are your documents. This is your estate plan. You are entitled to understand it completely. How will you proactively communicate with me on an ongoing basis? How will you be accessible if I need to communicate? And will anyone else be able to discuss my issues in your absence? Will they be available by phone, by office visit, or by a Zoom online meeting? Well, most attorneys will hopefully be available to their clients at any time. Life happens. It's important to know if there will be an associate or a paralegal who will be available to answer your questions if necessary. Questions about their ongoing process. How will my estate plan be reviewed and updated? An estate plan needs to be reviewed occasionally to assess any changes in circumstance and updated when changes are necessary. Find out how your plan will be reviewed. How often will your attorney review the plan to ensure it's in line with current laws and legal best practices? How often does your attorney recommend you review your own plan to ensure it's in line with your current circumstances? Are those reviews included in the original fee you paid, or is there an additional fee? What is your responsibility to inform the attorney about? Generally, life and circumstances changes, and what is the responsibility of the attorneys to inform you about? Generally, this will be changes to the law. Do you actually implement the plan and fund the trust? Some lawyers merely draw up estate planning documents, while others also administer any associated trusts. For example, if you are establishing a living trust, the trust not only needs to be created via the trust documents, but then the assets have to be moved into the trust by retitling the house or the bank accounts or whatever other assets are to be included in the trust. That process is generally called funding the trust. Some lawyers do the work of funding the trust, others expect you to. Understand which services your lawyer will be doing and how they charge for those services. What happens to my estate plan after I pass away? When a person dies, their estate plan is put in motion. Understand what your attorney's role will be in dealing with the probate process. Will they be involved in that process, or do they view their role as complete once the documents are drafted? It's best to get a general understanding of what the process will look like after death happens before that death happens. After a death occurs, it will be a very difficult and emotional time with lots of other things going on. That isn't a great time to be considering for the first time what the next legal step will be. Questions to ask yourself after an appointment. Your attorney isn't the only one who should be answering questions. You get a few questions to answer as well. After meeting with your estate attorney, consider your meeting and your interactions with the attorney. Ask yourself, how comfortable do you feel talking with that attorney? Can you envision speaking with and being honest with them about very personal matters? Did they communicate clearly and effectively? Do you feel like you were being led into particular products or situations, or pressured into an approach you didn't understand or that you didn't think was appropriate for you? Do you have a good rapport? Trust your instincts. Estate planning can be complex, and you need to be comfortable with your attorney. You need to believe that they have your best interests at heart. If not, feel free to talk with another attorney. After you've asked your questions and are comfortable with the answers, you'll proceed with the meeting. Again, a link to the PDF of the questions that I think you should consider asking your estate attorney can be found in the description. If you found this video helpful, hit that like button and also consider hitting the subscribe button for regular end-of-life and estate planning information.